we go. All right, cool. All right, this is the next one out of Tournament Guidebook by Vishnu Warrior. He's actually coming on. We meeting tomorrow actually for a meeting to figure out some stuff and logistics for when he's coming on for the stream to talk about, of course, the book, right, and also you know, the videos and stuff like that. But today's video is going to be pawn breaks, right? Yesterday was the octopus. Today is pawn breaks. What are pawn breaks, right? So let's talk about that. Somebody tell me what a pawn break is. Somebody in the chat, tell me what a pawn break is. What do you think a pawn break actually is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 biddies from Shinny64. Thanks so much. Then we had again, big thanks to my guy Nick for the 100 piece. That's $100. 20 gifted subs. Thanks, bro. 20 piece. When you break up the chain, okay, I like that. To open up a particular part of the board, okay, opening lines and pawn traits. A pawn move that changes the pawn structure. A pawn push which attempts to open a position. Very nice wording, Vita. Very nice wording. I like how you worded that one. I like how you worded that one. Making past pawns when a pawn attacks the head of a pawn chain. Breaking up the opponent's pawn structure. This is all correct, guys. In fact, let me pull up what it says from Tournament Guidebook. I actually want to pull that up for y'all real quick. Let me pull that up real fast. Break to the center. That's right. 12 bits. Yo, thanks, bro. Thanks. So let me get it now. Of course, let's keep going. Right. It's when you break the structure of the pawns by attacking. Okay, by attacking a hanging pawn or making a sacrifice. That is very specific. But yes, but it's very specific, and you don't want it to be so specific because pawn breaks is a little bit more than that as well. A little bit more than that. So let me actually get y'all what it says, and of course. Like, all of you guys are correct. In fact, all of you guys are correct. But what I want to read you is from what it says out of Tournament Guidebook here, right? The book's coming out, right? So we're going to actually talk about this right now. Let me pull it up. Where is it? Right here. A pawn break happens. This is the break right here. So as black, when you're breaking, we're breaking this up. We need space. Pawn breaks control the game. Pawn breaks are what break up the position, especially in closed positions, and whoever controls these pawn breaks controls the game. It's very important to understand this. If you can control the pawn break, you can control the game. Let's say that again. If you can control the pawn break, you can control the whole game. And when we looked at before, what was it? Follow the yellow brick pawn. Who remembers that, right? Follow the yellow brick pawn. What did it say? Right, we have to play in the structure or the pawn structure points to where you should play, right? Where you should play at. So, of course, if I'm playing this way and black's playing this way, what that means, let's go back a few moves here, right? A pawn break is when I'm trying, you know, to break open the position by means of attacking another pawn. That's usually how it is. F6 or C5, and in some cases, like even in Queen Gambit declines, right? Let's see, D4, D5, right? C4, and then E6. Of course, this was the pawn break already. I can play E3 next, right? E3, Queen's Gambit decline style, or bring the bishop out, or knight C3, whatever you want to do. But pawn breaks is very similar on the examples wise of how to do it. It's when I throw a pawn on the wall, right? We read that. Break open a pawn structure to gain an advantage. Maybe not immediately, but in the future, right? Deny the break, deny the counterplay. If I can control the break, I can control the game. 1000%. If you can control the pawn break, you can control the game. It's very, very powerful to understand this. Now, let's go through the game from today. All right, so let's actually flip the board here. We want to look at it from Loic Van Welly's point of view versus Thilo Kabish. All right, so let's see it. White to move. Here we go. E4, knight C6. It says choo-choo. Yeah, that's the train thing. Thanks so much for the hype train. Thanks for the subs, y'all. Appreciate it. We looking at pawn breaks today. It's going down. E4, knight C6, right? So you played a Nimzo kind of thing. It's kind of strange sometimes. Albino, thanks for the follow. After E4, knight C6, he goes D4, Nimzo defense, right? D4. This is a strange situation. Now here you could capture and go into some Scandi lines where you're slightly kind of behind because the D4 pawn is now already under attack. So E5 is the better way of playing. After E5, he plays E6, which is absolutely 1000% gross. That is not a move. In fact, the only move you should play in this position usually is bishop to F5. Playing out with the bishop outside of the pawn chain instead of inside. Now you have a disgusting French. An absolutely gross French. What are you doing with your life? Just a bad French. 1000%. So now after E6, it's on you, chat. This is actually a short game. Only 17 moves here. How do you do this? White's move. What do? A French without C5 break. Gross. Oh, man. I mean, this is disgusting. A French without the C5 break? In fact, this is the pawn break, right? The pawn break you need. If you can control the pawn breaks, you can control the game. But I can't play C5. Now, let's see what somebody says. Knight f3, this may stop. Knight f3, knight f3. Okay, so we got some knight f3s. Sometimes you break his pawn chain to even give your opponent a double or triple structure, which can later be easy to capture. I like it. F4 from Mind Detox and Daniel says F4 here. C4. H4 is my style. H4 is aggressive. C4, B5. That's probably B4, but that's absolutely gross. Don't even do it to yourself. Maybe B3. Lucas. Supporting that tier 2 badge too, man. Thank you for these tier 2. KYLO equals French. KYLO equals better French. Nimzo equals worst possible French. Correct. Now look, check this out. Right. I want you to look at something here. Let's flip the board. We're going to look at it real quick from Black's point of view. I want to show you and demonstrate to you how powerful the pawn break is and why it's important to have them. If you don't have pawn breaks, you could lose a game, believe it or not, because you don't even have pawn breaks. That sounds even crazy, right? But look at this. For people that don't know the French, or you do know the French, in the French defense, same structure, right? Bishop stays in, absolutely gross. That's why they call it the French bishop, because it literally is that. It's just terrible. It's just the French bishop. But the knight here is blocking the pawn break. And because we can't break means that we have less space. That's why a pawn break is important. A lot of times pawn breaks you'll use for space. You need to gain some space, number one. You need to gain some space. That's why you do a pawn break. So if you look at Black here, let's actually go back a few moves. Let's actually look at the French. E4, E6, the right way to play the French. D4, D5, if E5 happens, there is no other move to make but C5 in this position is Black. Because it's the pawn break that makes sense. What's a break again? A pawn break is when I can attack another pawn with my own pawn, basically in means or gain of something greater. It could be space, which is number one. My queen can now get out, my knight can get here, and eventually, let's make a few moves for white here. I can now get my rook to C8 as well. I'm just going to show you. My rook can now get to C8. Boom. Look at all this space. I have space. Wow. Look at that. I have space. Pretty cool. Pawn break. All because I did a pawn break. And I actually have another one too. Eventually, we're going to play F6. There's always two sides to a strong center or a strong pawn structure, the person with it and the person attacking it. And the person attacking it needs to relentlessly attack this by means of knight e7, knight f5, attacking the base, and then blowing down the center with f6 at the right moment. Another pawn break, by the way. Very, very important stuff. So let's go back and look at the game. Okay, we go look at the game. E4, knight c6. We're looking at it from Black's point of view. We're going to flip it and look at White's. E5, he go E6, absolutely gross. Now we can't do the pawn break we was looking to do, which means the queen can't get out, which means the bishop still can go here, but the rook's going to be looking crazy when we get it to C8. And everything's in a little box. You're just trying to put all your pieces in the same spot in the box, but they can't all go there. And it's very, very bad. You're in a very, very big box here. Terrible. 100%, 1000%, 1000% garbage. This is terrible for Black. So White plays C3, still following what I would do. Now, I don't have any pawn breaks, which I do. C4 is a pawn break, but I'm not really trying to play that right now. So that's why Van Welly played C3 here. Very strong. Your pawn structure, remember, who remembers the video? Follow the yellow brick pawn, right? Remember that, right? We went over that. Pawn structure tells you where you should play. So we follow the pawn chain, which means we should be playing bishop d3, knight f3, probably h4, sacking if he castle queenside. So he shouldn't do that. This is why castling sometimes is wrong, sometimes an overrated move. You hear that from GMs. Castling, sometimes you'll castle right into mate. So you got to be extremely careful. You might just need to go queenside. Knight g to e7 for Black, bishop d3 from White. Extremely simple. We know what we need to be doing. Knight to g6, and now, all right, chat, it's on you, White, to move. What do we do? Thanks for the follow. Renown. Thanks for the follow. Congested, right? Feels like I can't breathe watching this position. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Get your inhaler. Open the windows. Yeah, you're going to need some extra oxygen for this game. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, thanks for the follow. H4, push him. Push him. Bishop E3 from Shinny. Bishop E3 does follow some of the Simon Williams extra lines and some of his newer stuff. F4 is a move. Knight A3. Yeah, Knight A3 is probably as close to garbage as you can get. No, I'm kidding. But it is garbage. In fact, it's just not... Knight A3, we're not trying to play, bro. Now, You can play this. In fact, strategically, I do like knight a3. Strategy-wise, because after takes, right, I've gotten rid of the bishop pair. I've gotten rid of the dark square bishop, which is actually a key piece, especially in him trying to break. Now, I mean, I don't have, like, I'm pretty cool with that. It's pretty cool. But if he doesn't take it, then the knight is actually gross over here. And you have to reroute him where he's kind of misplaced on e3. And, like, if he's not taking it, then what is the knight doing on a3, right? So it wouldn't make sense. So after knight to g6, in fact, it's just developed. Sasso is right. And P. Weezy is too. Thanks for the follow. Knight f3. Very nice. After knight f3, bishop e7. I'm trying to castle, get out the way. So white to move. You know your opponent is trying to castle here. So what do? White to move. White to move. Knight f3 to develop the bishop. Knight f3. Nice. Yeah, we already had that knight f3. Bishop e7 happened. He says h4. I like an h4. Is it worth sacrificing a knight for central pawns? Right. Yeah. h4 doesn't work. Figure out 420. All right, I see the h4 move, but we can't accept the rest because right, you'll be putting stupid stuff in the chat sometimes. But I do see h4 from you. Look, man, my bad. Thanks for the follow. Bishop takes g6. Bishop takes g6. Bishop takes g6 would be a fatal error, and the reason for this, let's just get this on the board and show everyone why. After pawn takes, now I have the open file. Black already a lot of times does castle queenside, but the question is, remember, pawn breaks. You need to pawn breaks are not only for you to make space for yourself, but to also have attacking chances. Black can't even, like, if we flip the board, and let's say from a strategic standpoint, I want to now use this rook file to actually try to use, try to use it. So that means I probably want to castle queenside, but I can't. Why can't I? How do I actually successfully, try to do that? In fact, there's only one way. B6, bishop b7, or a6. That would be a great diagonal if I'm able to get it. But b6, bishop b7, queen d7, castle queenside. Nice plan. Use the h file. Maybe play g5 and g4 for a little bit of extra space. But I don't have any space. And I have to make adjustments. And I have to make, exceptions and adapt. Because of the fact that I did not do the pawn break I was supposed to do anyway. In every single one of your games, think about this. In every single one of your games, there eventually will be a pawn break or pawn breaks, plural. So you need to be very, very aware of these and see if you need to use them or not to use them. When to use, and of course that comes with experience, analyzing games, knowing your theory. It's a lot. I mean, chess is a hard game. But at the same time, when you do this, it's very beneficial. You get to understand more about the game. And understanding is key, a lot of it. So after bishop to e7, white goes g3 instead. No knight d2, which is a playable move. Knight d2, and actually knight d2 is playable. It follows lines like this: knight d2, knight f1, knight g3. Excuse me. You also have a g3, h4, h5. You also have sometimes just h4, sometimes g4. Like, there's a lot of moves. So he plays g3 and then castles, and here we go. h4 for the score, right? Now, in this position, oh man, it's looking crazy. I ain't even developed nothing, but white is getting in trouble. I'm looking at knight g5 and we live, queen h5 and we live, everything 5 and we live. And then this bishop is looking disgusting over here too. This is scary. h5 coming again and we live. It's looking disgusting over here. He's definitely in a lot of trouble. And again, we can't do anything. Let's flip the board. Well, what are we missing? Oh, the pawn break. Right now, if we were able to attack black center or white center, what do they say? The saying goes that play on the wing should be countered by play in the center. So that means that if they do wing stuff, if you're doing stuff on the wing, it should be countered principally, fundamentally, by doing things in the center and vice versa. You playing more in the center, I should probably play more on the wing. But usually the other way around is better, where if they're playing on the wing, I should do something in the center right now, which means I should already be bullying this d4 pawn, but I can't because I didn't do the pawn break. I just wanted to put my hand in the camera. Bishop f5 and we live. Right. And I want you to understand this today, guys. I want you to understand how powerful and why it's very vital to have your pawn breaks. In fact, before we finish this game, let's look at a few things, right? Pawn break, King's Indian, right? This is just the importance. I'm just deviating a little bit from the game because I want you to understand this. I hate the dumb French. Stupid dumb French. Yeah, sometimes I hate it too. All right. So knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6, knight f3, castles. Bishop e2, pawn break. Where are the pawn breaks in this position, chat? Let's see if we're paying attention. Where are the pawn breaks in this position right now? Pawn break right now. Where is it? E5 or C5? Very good, chat. Now, of course, you know this from just theory, right? And understanding, maybe seeing it before, right? But E5 and C5 are pawn breaks to do what? To gain space. So if I get C5 out, my queen can get out. If I go E5, I have a square for E7 now. Maybe I can mess this up, open the file a little bit more because the bishop's on it, right? Okay, how about E5, D5? Where should the pawn breaks be now, chat? Wow, let's see if you really on your game. You know, really on your thinking cap. Really got your saber on right now. Okay, so C6, that's the obvi. But where's the other one that I want? Where's the other one? In fact, there are 2 pawn breaks that are critical in this position. Can you point them out? C6 is correct. That's number 1. But this is not one we play a lot. Not in this position. C6, B5, I mean, yes, you know what? I'm going to give that to you, NJ. That's extra credit. B5 could be a pawn break. It's just not a good one right now, and it's going to take a while to play it. But here it is, F5. You're right. Mind Detox, A-Doc found it. F5. Another pawn break. Your pawn structure. Follow the yellow brick pawn. Wow, remember that, right? If you didn't watch that video, follow the yellow brick pawn, go watch it. Okay, so here, and it's here in, you know, the YouTube channel, right? So here, this is follow the yellow brick pawn. I'm supposed to go this way, which means, you know, my it's black to move. Okay, let's go knight h5. So f5. Now, of course, I think right here there's a knight takes e5 trick, so you have to be careful. So in fact, let me go like realistic, like knight e8, castles, and then f5. So f5 now, pawn break. Boom, I've broken this up. I want an extra space. Pawn break is now letting me have an open f file. If he doesn't take it for whatever reason, then we play f4. And because we did the pawn break, now we have even extra space. And now we're going for the next pawn break, right? And blow up in a position. King's Indian style. Rook f7, rook g7. All the pieces go over here. I can keep drawing arrows. I did go to the school of Hikaru. Okay, so, but with that being said, going back here, it is pawn breaks 101, right? Let's look at another one from the beginning and flip here. Let's actually flip this boy. If we go e4, e5, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, pawn break. Crazy. It happens everywhere. d4, this is the Scotch Gambit, Scotch Gambino, or Scotch game. Pawn break from the beginning. All right, how about this? Pawn break right here. King's Gambit. Pawn breaks are everywhere. Understand these, and now you have a more of an understanding because you guys play these openings all the time, but now you may have a better understanding of why and what you can do with these pawn breaks. Let's look at even the wing gambit, which is wild. Pawn break. Immediately now I got d4, right? There's always a reason behind your pawn break. This one's gross, but after we capture, what's the reason? Because we want to have a big center. Or we can play a3 too, but I like the d4 if I'm gonna play this one, right? Correct, pawn breaks, guys. Now, back to the game. Now that we have a better understanding, let's get right back to where we were in the game. So, okay, h4, h6 happens. The man plays h6 right here. My goodness, I would hope to get this game as white. So how do you finish this though, chat? How you finish this? There's only like 9 moves left. b4 and Evans is my favorite pawn break. I wouldn't even call it pawn break. I feel it. Feel it. But it is though. You want to really classify it as something so it's easier and you don't deviate from a lot of things. h6 and black will be found in the ditch. Man. Yo, I understand the rhyming, but man, bro, like that's, man, it's a family channel, bro. Knight shoot 5, send it. h5, psych, another time, making we great. Sheesh. A usual sack bishop here. Queen d2, push the h pawn. Okay, but queen d2, are you going to lead with your face? I mean, this is like, imagine like, you know, you're trying to block boxing, right? They swing in, it's a boxing match, and you're trying to block the hits with your face. Imagine that. Imagine that. So if queen d2, and you do push the h pawn, are you going to sack? Are you going to take this? You would never do this, right? Queen c2. Okay. Oh, you meant queen c2. That's a lot better. Queen to c2 hitting g6. Very nice. Queen's Gambit for real. Right. Yeah. Right. Queen's Gambit for real. Big facts. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to see Perk versus Yugoslav. That is a scary situation for black. But if black is very well prepared and tactics on fleet, 17, 1 thou wow, going crazy, they'll be all right. But man, I mean, I have a lot of fun with the perk myself because tactics and I sack stuff and push the H pawn, Yugoslav style. In fact, I don't both test game, but yeah. Try not to. So why doesn't bishop takes h6 work? Well, that's a great question. In fact, let's see why. After bishop takes h6, okay, what's your follow-up, right? Every time you have a move, you should always have a follow-up. If you don't have a follow-up, then it doesn't work. And not that you know, You need to have a correct follow-up, not just, oh, I'm just going to do this. Okay, cool. Now what's the follow-up to that? And then if you can't find anything, then you end up losing. H5 looks great. Now, in fact, right here, let me turn the engine on. Engine says this is equal. Believe it or not, it says a lot about your position as white. You sack the piece and it's still equal? Sheesh, like you in trouble, bro. But H5, he plays knight H8. First off, he has a knight on H8. Okay, and let's go back to that. So now, with that being said, you can play stuff like F6 or F5 and try to get the knight to F7 and G5. But this knight is on H8. So H5, this would still work, and you probably go on to win this game, but this is not the most accurate, right? Just because you can sack it doesn't mean that you should. And you should also, when you find a good move, you look for a better one. Best attacks are prepared. So you need to prepare things. Yeah, I mean, it's not all the time, right? There's always exceptions in chess. But here, this one's going to be prepared. It is white to move. What do you do now? Oh, man, found my sponge. Right. The knight must have fell off the board. Just scoot him off the board. Correct. White to move here. What do we do? G takes H6? Yeah. No, right here, right here. Like, it's white to move right now. Bishop takes H6 is not it. The G4, I like G4. I think he can take on H4, weirdly enough, but still problems. H5? Yeah. H5 is move number 2 from the engine. Like, why not just put this knight on H8, bro? No, I'm not going to lie. I have put a knight on H1, and I've won. And it was nice, because I remember doing it. Like, I put the knight on H1, and I, like, twisted it in. Real nice and easy. I remember doing it at the board. I didn't do it that many times, but I definitely played knight H1 and twisted it, hit the clock, wrote it down, ooh, and I won the game. It was crazy. When you ever have a knight on this square, anywhere in the corners of the board, that's a wild game. That's a wild game. I just want to clean the way up for the queen. Yeah, there's a World Cup game today. Ironically, decided by useless piece on last rank. Crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it feels gross, absolutely. But he can, you know, he has aspirations. In fact, I remember, no, that night was on F8. I was playing Levy. I remember, shout out to Levy. I was playing Levy in that I Am Not a GM match. It was a game. It was actually the famous stalemate game that's circulating around the internet. Stealing clips and stuff, right? Yeah, it was that one. But I remember that the knight was on F8, and I did end up playing G5 and F5, and I got a good position. Hence the position before I stalemated. It was a great position. I was winning. But I was able to get this knight, and I don't think mine was on F8, not H8. But the thing here is very gross. It's very, very gross. So I'm not even going to answer that. So after H6, white played knight to H2. So he plays knight to H2 to play knight to G4. This is the idea here. This is the idea here. Knight H2, knight G4, then sack. More in like King's Indian attack. More than like King's Indian attack fashion. If you ever watched the King's Indian attack or ever played it, this is sort of the idea. In fact, the bishop's usually on G2. So now we have a better version, in fact, of the King's Indian attack, but we don't have everything we need yet. The knight usually sits on G4, because usually a knight on F3, queen on E2, king castle, work on E1. These are the usual plans of the King's Indian attack. You can watch a lot of Bobby Fischer games. Lots of players like it. But knight H2 is a great move. For knight to G4, trying to sack everything. GG, have a nice day. Even queen H5, tucking the queen in the little cubby hole first, then playing knight G4, and then sacking my whole life on this side of the board. Right. Oh, man, it's looking nasty. Levyson minutes strong. Yeah, correct. Yeah, used to Bobby Fischer destroy King's Indian. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bobby, he destroyed everything. Besides the French, he had a little bit of problems. But when he played King's Indian attack, he was doing nice with the French against it. So queen H5 looks good. After knight H2, knight A5, right? Basically, white's just about to get a mate out of nowhere. This is about to happen. Now, move number 1 is queen H5. That's pretty cool. I loved it. I'm like, queen H5 is, yeah, absolutely. Queen H5 is my game. That's what I'm going to do. But not that I'm surprised, but, you know, he played queen G4. I was like, queen G4? I mean, it does hit the knight, but I wanted to play queen H5 and knight G4. Oh, sorry. I put the, you know, when you right click and click inspect by accident, that's what just happened. So, queen H5 and knight G4. That was my next plan. But queen G4 was the move. Queen G4, queen E8. And then after queen E8, obvious here, chat. Finish this off, please. And you better get this right. What do? White to move. White to move. You better get this right, chat. What we doing? C4 from A-Doc. H3 from Lucas. Bishop H6 from Mind Detox. Time to sack, says Vishnu. H5. C4 is not a move, says A-Doc. He took it back. H5 is time, says A1. Contraband with H5. Vita with H5. H5 or sack, says the old boar. Daniel with H5. You guys are 100% correct. In fact, Queen H5 was such a good move that they want you to do it now. Like move it from G4 to H5. That's how good this move was. In fact, it was a killer move. Still winning, but first move now is H5. And secondary move is Queen H5, but he found H5 here, obvious, right? He has a nasty attack here. And then after the knight moves, now he hit this man with a move. Oh my goodness, rest in peace. Let's just get some silence, please. Let's just get the silence in the chat. I just need a moment of silence here. White to move, chat. White to move. White to move. Won't make it right. Bishop takes. There it is. Right, Vishnu. That's crazy, right? It's ridiculous. Bishop takes H6. That's right. Bam. Oh my goodness. This is a family channel. Wow. Sheesh. This is gross. This is brutal. This is abuse at this point. After Bishop takes H6, G6, right? Man, now it ain't over yet. I mean, it is. It is, but you still have a little bit of precision to do. I mean, honestly, you don't even have to be precise. Like, there's probably 6 moves in this position. Castle being one of them. You could castle right here and still be completely winning in all areas. You could play Knight D2. You could play A4 right now. Right now, it's +8. Let me see what the engines say on A4. +5. A4. +5. A4. Right? It's that bad. After G6, what do you do, chat? So any move is almost right here. B takes G6. Or H6, G6 is what you mean. In fact, what he did here was very simple. Knight F3. Just get another piece into the game. Maybe swing to H4. Maybe go G5. Maybe Bishop G5. C5 happened. Oh. Oh, now you pawn break. Oh, now you pawn break. Oh, now you pawn break, my guy. Yo, we supposed to do this win class? Raise your hand. Thank you very much. Yes, one at a time. In the beginning of the game, you were supposed to do this. This is the pawn break, and this is a very good example of why you need to do these pawn breaks. They're very, very big, and they're very, very important. More important than you ever thought before today's video. It's a very important thing to get these pawn breaks out. Now he plays C5 when it doesn't even matter what you do. It don't even matter what you do. It really doesn't. Oh no, black breaking through on the queen side. Oh no, what do I do? Ace takes G6. Ace takes G6 would have worked too. You could also take the rook. It's a matter of style really at this point of like, what do you want? What happened? Everything wins. It's even +9 if you go knight B to D2 right now. If you go knight B to D2 and castle queen side, it's still +9. It's telling you how bad the position is, which means this works, and this should work, this should work, or this should work, or this should work, that should work. Like even taking on C5, it doesn't matter. This is a king E2. Let's do king E2. +4. It goes from +12 to +4. Okay, you know what? You lost an advantage, but you're still +4 though. If king E2 right now, literally, yeah, I'm looking at it. It's +14, and then after king E2. It goes to +5 or +4.9 to be exact. Now, after this, C5, right? Okay, we take on G6. It's time to break through, right? He takes back on G6 and chat like, you know, not to say that a lot of y'all will lose this game because a lot of y'all won't, but some of you will still lose from this position right here as white. And now you need to figure this out, right? Think forcing, but also think if you can't find a forcing move, if it doesn't work, then what is next? Can I not equalize? Can I simplify, meaning make trades, or can I bring another piece into the game? These are things to think about so that you don't lose this game. Let's just center up this chess lover. Knight H4 from Mind Detox. I like the H file. Knight G5 from A1. You can bring the knight into G5, says Mustachiola. I would do Bishop C1 and screw it in. Bishop C1 and screw it into the board real nicely. Bishop C1. Bishop takes F8. Bishop takes. Mustachiola. Yeah, I actually read it and I was like, Mustachiola. Mustachiola. Got it. Yes, sir. Take the rook. Take the rook. Right. Everything wins, guys. In fact, number one, bishop takes F8 is correct. But he chose knight G5, which is just like whatever. Right? It's telling you this position is so good. He just wanted to bring another piece into the game. Honestly, I mean, threatening to take on E6. Like, everything wins. So he played knight to G5. After knight G5, he took on G5. Do you take with queen or bishop, guys? What do you do? Queen or bishop? Queen or bishop, chat? Queen or bishop? We have queen from A-Doc. Sasso says, wow. Bishop from Chess Lover. And bishop from Avita. Bishop for F6. Bishop. Open the file. Queen. Bishop. Queen. Man, look at the back and forth there. That's so crazy. We should almost do a poll, but we about to move past this. Here it is. He just played bishop takes G5. Which, I mean, he could have won it so many different ways. And after C4, how does he seal the deal? The next move ends it on a spot, as in, like, he resigned. It wasn't mate. He just resigned. Now, you have three separate moves here. Let's see if you mention one of them, guys. Rook takes H8. Let's see if this works. I'm sure it does. It's still +6, but this is not it. It's still +6, but that's not it. Right now, it's actually mate in 5 if you do what he did. And then it's mate in 5 if another move too as well. All right, so let's see what we got. Rook H8, bishop F6, bishop F6, queen H4 from Backer, bishop F6 from Vita, Daniel with queen H4, Death with Lactose, queen H4, rook H6, probably Lucas, that wins too. Bishop F6, queen H4, bishop C2. Here it is. In fact, the two moves that do exactly the same thing are queen H4. Shout out to you. Clap it up. Hold up. This for you. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I see you, big fella. Now the game's over. You could have did anything and won this game. Maybe not anything. Let's take that back. But queen H4 wins very quickly, very fast. And queen H3 was another one. So these were the moves from the engine number 1 and 2. All right, queen H4, and the game was over. He resigned right here. But if we go back and we analyze this game from an overall standpoint of what he should have done and should not have done, it started in the beginning with the pawn breaks, and not just this opening. Every single opening you play, no matter what it is, no matter what the name of it is, no matter if it's an opening or not, there will be pawn breaks. You need to do them, and you need to watch out for them. And if you don't have them, you're going to be in a lot of trouble or have no space, just like in this game is black here. Absolutely looking gross. Out here looking crazy, blocking with his whole face. Right? So look at this. Like, you have no space. And for the rest of the game, you're supposed to play on this side of the board. You're supposed to have a pawn break, but you can't move nothing. And then, you know, he castled right into mate. That's why castling is an overrated move sometimes, is what they'll say. GMs will tell you this. The castling sometimes is an overrated move. It depends on when you need to castle and if it's a necessity to do so. In fact, the king should stay right here, my guy. I ain't going nowhere. You know what? I might go knight B8, go C5, and then put the knight back. Because this is really bad. Right? Now, remember this. At the same time, one more time, guys. It was Kabish, a GM. Actually, I don't know. I know Van Welly is, of course, but I've never actually heard of Kabish. You ironically don't castle often in Nightdorf. Yes, overrated indeed. Yes, but it depends. So with that being said, though, guys, this is pawn breaks. Make sure you're doing these pawn breaks, looking for them. Watch this video 1,000 times if you got to. Watch the other videos as well in the YouTube playlist. This is the end of today's video. We're gonna have another one tomorrow. Appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next video. Hit the subscribe button.